layers and layers of traps. All he's setting the trap. No, the police are setting the trap, but then the trap is being sprung by them. But there was actually a trap that was ready before that trap.
No. The way you just described it is how they should have made the film, because nobody fucking trapped anybody. Everybody was an idiot. Like, you could make this film work if you went in either of two directions from what this film is. One of them being what I mentioned earlier, which was just make it crazier, right? Just have crazy things happen. The craziest thing that happened in the entire movie is when he, like, pushed the woman into the deep fryer or pushed the woman down the stairs. It's like, okay, something actually happened.
I hope there'll be more of that.
Yeah. They're like literally two things that happened in the movie that were like that, and I just mentioned them, and they didn't take up a lot of space. They didn't take up a lot of the runtime, and they didn't take up a lot of consequence or mental or emotional energy. It was just like, oh wow, if the whole movie was crazy, or enough of the movie was crazy, and there were enough interesting things happening, it could have worked. The other way it could have worked is if it were an actual cat and mouse game, right? Like it's lean further towards Death Note, where there are two intelligent characters, and we have the antagonist, we have the police lady, have these two characters outsmarting each other throughout the film. The film pretends to do that. The film pretends as though it's an interesting, like, oh, how are they going to one-up this? Or like, I've set a trap and you're going to fall into it. Oh, but they were too smart for this one. No, instead, he just gets lucky every single time. He'll be like, oh, how do I get out of this one? And it's not even like a real trap that was set. It's just like, oh, there's another cop here. And then he'll be like, oop, well, I guess I just happened to be doing this thing when no one noticed. I guess everyone's backs were turned at the exact moment here. And he doesn't get out of it because he did anything smart. Ever. He just gets lucky.
It's always convenient,
So there's no satisfaction in that. There's no satisfaction in how it plays out. The character is not someone who you're ever rooting for. Again, I'm thinking about Law-Abiding Citizen, where morally questionable for sure. But there's something fun towards the character dynamic. There's a motivation that the character has, right? It's like a revenge thing. This guy's just a killer. Yeah. You don't like him. You don't care if he's going to get caught. I never cared if he was going to get caught. And so this film is riding on this fake sense of tension where it's like, oh, you hope he doesn't get caught. And so many scenes where like the music is implying this, the way that the film is structured and paced is implying this, like, oh, is he going to get caught? That can't be the question if nobody cares if he gets caught. All I was thinking is like, well, he probably deserves to be caught anyway. He's not interesting. He's not charismatic. He's just a guy who's a killer who I guess is a little cocky and gets lucky. And that's it. What do we have to go off of?
Nothing.
And then it just gets dumber and dumber as it goes along.
Yeah. It's, I don't know, it's kind of like old where it feels like a one title or a one sentence or a two sentence little summary of, oh, that's kind of a fun idea or a fun starting off point for a story. Where do we go from there? And then it's just like, oh, I don't know, just rush some nonsense together and push it out. I really don't understand like the motivation, as you were saying. I was thinking, man, I wish, and you could even keep the same title. You could fix this quite easily. Make it a Saw film.
Yeah.
Make the main character Jigsaw stuck in there and just have flashbacks to traps. Like it's like almost there. As you said, it has to be more goofy. It has to be more like, I don't know, House That Jack Built or a more serious kind of Dexter sort of situation. But yeah, you either have to care about it or at least feel the intensity of this character that is stuck in this kind of claustrophobic environment and scrambling to try and figure it out, but it never feels that tension, especially because like it's just an ongoing M. Night problem, and it's so unique to him. In fact, I've never seen another filmmaker kind of manifest this style of filmmaking where the human interactions are so alien. They're like so stiff and strange.
But you can't criticize that because that's how all of his movies are made. Have you seen those people?
Are they though?
I know, it's not even true. It's not even true.
Do people really say this?
Have you seen those? Have you seen M. Night stands? The craziest ways that people defend him. They're like, what? You can't talk about the dialogue and the way that characters interact because he just writes his characters that way. It's like, that wasn't really true for like The Sixth Sense or Unbreakable. That wasn't really true for those films.
And it doesn't feel like an intentional thing like, you know, The Lobster or something, where it all feels like thematic and feeding into this intentional presentation. It feels like, oh, that was supposed to be a joke right there. Oh, that was supposed to be something serious. And it's like, what? It's so flat. It's so emotionally like all over the place, and especially that main character. I feel like this might have been what would have happened with something like Split if it had a lead with less kind of talent than James McAvoy.
Yeah.
Like, where are we going with this character? Is he, the way he's talking to his 14-year-old daughter, who I know is like young, but why is he speaking to her like in this condescending, like, he sounds like he's talking to like a 4-year-old every time he's interacting with her. It's like this really weird, unbelievable dynamic, and these random bit characters that come in that get like celebrated in the end credits or like mid credits, and it's like, what is the tone here? Like, what are you going for? At the same time, it's like, yeah, we're gonna give the serial killer this sympathetic angle, and that's gonna be his undoing towards the end. And also, by the way, I'm gonna build my daughter as a major feature of the movie. It feels like M. Night's daughter is more important to the movie than the actual serial killer is. There's like more focus on her.
That seemed like the starting point was, how do I make a movie where my daughter can promote her music?
Exactly, yeah.
That really seemed like he built the entire movie around that. Just to go back to what you were saying earlier,